was such dope weather the whole weekend. I was like, every day it was like 80, 75, 70 at night. I'm like, okay, this is my pace right here in life.
Oh,
it's my pace.
So good. Such a great weather weekend in the Northeast.
Say that fast.
Weather weekend in the Northeast. So what do the Celtics need to get over the top? Is it just as JWill says, seasoning? Is it decanting? Is it letting the talent, the two wings fully develop? I think that's probably right, Jay. I'll bet you if you're patient with these two over time, and it might take 3 or 4 or 5 years, but guess what? In 5 years, Tatum will be 29 and Jaylen Brown will be 30, and they'll still be 3 years younger than Jimmy Butler is right now.
Agreed. And I'm not firing Zoe Missoula. Like, I'm keeping him. Like, there's a learning curve that coaches need to have, and he is inexperienced. This is his first year being a full-time head coach of an NBA franchise whose expectations were to win an NBA championship. Has he fallen short of the mark multiple times? Sure he has. Also, this team has. It doesn't mean that he's not the coach of the future moving forward, though.
So here's another question, though, Jay. You've gone that far. Are you willing to say that given the fact that they got to a Game 7 at home, they battled all the way back from down 0-3, first year as coach, are you willing to say that you owe Zoe Missoula an apology?
For what? What am I apologizing for?
For being extremely critical of his head coaching acumen.
We're critical on every coach. If you want me to apologize for saying there were moments throughout the course of the season,
you to, but our producers might,
where Zoe Missoula lost the locker room, that is accurate.
Did he get it back?
You can get it back and lose it again. It's fine. Like, the level of inexperience, people take everything you say in absolutes. It doesn't work that way.
In other words, if you lost the locker room, it's permanent. You can never get it back.
Right? And when players kick it into different gears, you see different sides of people. And by the way, it's his job to get them to kick it into a different gear. You're telling me as a Boston Celtic fan that you're not disappointed with the effort you saw last night? And if that's a real thing, is that a reflection on the coach to get them ready for those moments as well? There's accountability all along. By the way, Caleb Martin, there were multiple times where he just wasn't guarded.
Yeah.
On transition threes, he's wide open.
Yeah, how many shots do you have to hit before you guard him?
Things like, and that's the thing you worry about with Boston. It's like, how are you not prepared psychologically to give it your all in the Game 7 at home? At home. It's a blowout. So I'm not saying Zoe Missoula should be fired, but that's alarming, isn't it?
But I like what you said before about you can lose it and get it back. I think there's a tendency to think it's really an issue of patience. And my lifetime, not playing at a high level or anything like that, Jay, simply watching sports. I'll be 50 in August. Just watching sports basically my whole life for half a century. Patience, 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 patience. And just when you run out of patience, more patience. That's the lesson. If I could tell you one lesson from watching sports, and what you're talking about is interesting to me because you're saying not only as that applies to the players like Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but even the coach, you can lose the locker room. And I think there's a tendency nowadays to write it off. Okay, he's lost the locker room, time to move on.
It's done.
You can get the locker room back. It's a dynamic human relationship.
I mean, think about it. So it's like my daughter, I tell her certain things daily. I'm like, okay, if you keep running in your room, the doorknob, you're going to crack yourself one time because she's taller now. And I tell her every day, hey, don't run. Don't run. Then one day, boom, she hits the doorknob. She comes to me. I'm like, I've been telling you not to run. I mean, obviously, I feel like I lose a little bit of my daughter, but then I get her back when a moment happens and it registers. She's like, oh, don't run. Okay, cool. But then, by the way, 2 weeks later, she starts running again, right? So I'm like, okay, do I keep telling her that? Or do I find a different way to try to convey that message?
You can tune out a mentor, an authority figure, a coach, a parent, a teacher, whatever it is. You can tune them out. And then their job is to figure out a way to get through to you again.
Agreed.
And there are ways. It doesn't mean that you're permanently out on that person. Here's Zoe Missoula on the difference between this game and the last 3 games. They were able to force a Game 7.
Sure, what was the difference between tonight and the last 3 games where you seem to be playing with confidence? The defense was good. There was energy there. Tonight, it just seemed like after the first 6 minutes, something changed.
We shot 21% from 3. Defense was still there.
Yo, all right, this is just me being a fan of the game. And I just made the statement that I think Zoe Missoula should be back next year. I think he has a chance to be one hell of a coach. But I don't know what his problem is with the media. It rubs me the wrong way. I feel like I'm listening to Bill Belichick minus any of the championships. I feel like I'm like, is that Greg Popovich minus the 5 championships? There's a level of humility that I want Joe to start bringing to this new relationship. Now, I'm not saying that he needs to bend over backwards for the media or acquiesce, but that's not Zoe Missoula to me, right? And the more you hear him talk and he doesn't really give you an explanation, Max, or reasoning behind him, well, this is what we came into the game. And I'm not saying every relationship with the media has to be, let me explain everything to you. But there's a sense of ease, right? You hear Eric Spoelstra, you hear some of the great coaches in the league and how they communicate their messages. And this just is an ongoing theme that just, it rubs me the wrong way. It's like you have not won any championships. Your resume does not look like Greg Popovich or Bill Belichick. And by the way, yes, you have gone through a learning curve in your first year as a head coach.
To be fair, neither Zoe Missoula nor Bill Belichick can win championships without Tom Brady. That much is true. At least Zoe Missoula can win playoff games without Tom Brady. Hey, how has the game plan changed with Tatum's injury? You're going to hear the question. You're going to hear Zoe Missoula, Celtics head coach, after the Game 7 loss at the post-game presser yesterday. Listen.
Joe, how did the game plan have to adjust to navigate perhaps any limitations Jason had?
Nothing. I mean, I thought he just tried to play through it as best as he could.
All right.
You see, hold on, Max. That's wrong. That's wrong. Like, and I get where he was going, play through it, because all great players or players in general need to play
Game 7, you got to play.
An injury, right? But when you see a zone, how is Jason Tatum, if he's lacking lateral movement, how is he not positioned to be the guy catching the ball in the middle of the zone? You have Al Horford be that player, but I don't trust ultimately the decision-making of Al Horford. So if you're running a zone, you put Jason Tatum, you find ways to have him catch the ball in the middle of the zone, turn, face, shoot, get the mid-range going, get to the free throw line. Right?
Play make one way or another.
Yes.
Yeah. Where he doesn't have to be running around.
And I hear what people say about the amoeba zone and how it's extended and it gives you different looks, but it's like when you have athletic wings who are good at turn, face, catch, observe, right? Like, think about it. That's what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown do on the perimeter. Like reverse pivot, swing pivot, turn face. You see the defense. Oh, okay. That second perimeter defender is shading from the right. Great. I'm going to give you one dribble right. I'm going to go back. I'm going to counter left. They're used to making reads. How do those two not catch the ball in the middle of the zone? Same scenario, turn face, make a read. You're making it more react than let me keep you on the perimeter and dance with the ball and dribble. Those are the kind of slight adjustments that next level coaches make when they don't feel pressured.
Rodney in Massachusetts wants to defend Zoe Missoula, Jay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rodney.
All right, Rodney.
Holy moly, I've been waiting. I didn't think I was going to get it. First and foremost, God bless the dead, Jay, man. I hope everything's well with you and yours, bro.
Thank you,
tough.
brother.
I couldn't even fathom. Secondly, Max, you my man, bro. You hilarious. Thirdly, I'm back on that behind, Jay. I don't know what it is with you, man. I love you, then I hate you, then I love you, then I hate you again, bro. Which one is it? Stay on one side. On one side, you say all these negative things about Missoula. On the second hand, you say, well, he's young, he's learning, this and this and that. And on the third hand, again, you come back and you violate him, bro. Listen, I agree with you. He doesn't need to get fired. The man's a rookie coach, made it to the finals, came back from 0-3. He's not perfect. You speaking on him like he's supposed to be perfect. Well, I don't like the way he speaks to the media. Listen, man, it's the human element. I'm pretty sure the dude hears people like you and others talk down on him, and sometimes he just wants to be short with them. He just doesn't want to hear it. It's the human element where he's like, man, I don't even want to entertain. I don't want to answer the questions, but I have to. And you mentioned an adjustment about putting Jason Tatum in the middle of the zone. I seen him do that yesterday and last night, and I also seen him smoke it, and he went away from it. Like, he's learning. He's not Eric Spoelstra. Oh, he needs to be as stoic as Eric Spoelstra while he speaks to the media. No, he doesn't, man. He's a rookie head coach, 34 years old, thrown into the fire. thrown into the fire. He's making adjustments on the fly. Coming back from 0-3, you lose at home. It wasn't perfect. And I'm a Boston Celtics hater. I'm a Boston hater. I'm a Giants fan, Yankees, Rangers.
Yeah,
I hate to be defending them, but yo, Jay, man, like you making me defend the Celtics, bro. Like, come on. What is
all right, wait, Jay, wait a minute.
Rodney, you stay on this line.
All right,
you
Rodney,
stay on
you
this
stay
line.
right there.
We're talking this out.
Rodney brings up a lot of good points, Jay. Once you say something negative, you need to stay negative on the person. You may not get on the other side. There's only one side. You're on the negative side you chose. All right, more of your calls. And Rodney's going to stay right there because Jay's got to respond.